Well, it's extremely meaningful to have been invited to speak. And at first, when I was invited, I looked up the foundation, and I was obviously inspired really by what Mr. Lofton is doing with the foundation. And then as I began to read more about it, I knew that I wanted to be a part of it, and became honored to get a chance to share my story, but kind of be involved in this whole vision of changing lives for the better in the community that we live in. I have the opportunity to speak, as I mentioned, all over the place, but rarely do I get a chance to really impact the community that I live in. And so it makes it even more meaningful to me. I'd certainly think that one of many things that I would love people to really resonate with is this idea of, if you want positive change in your community, you have to become involved. You can't literally sit back and just expect somebody else to do it. It was very fitting that the theme of this luncheon was becoming your own author, writing your own story, right? And it's meaningful because we have the ability to do that. In the media, every single day, you see somebody else writing our story, saying how we are going to act, how we are going to respond. And once we begin to realize that we control that, don't let anybody else control that. We control that. We control what the media is going to do and say simply by what our responses to things are, what our actions are on a daily basis. And so I think, just to answer the question, and that is just really get involved. Get involved in local events such as this, or local foundations that really you can see impacting young people in the area that you live in. It's extremely important to support foundations and organizations such as the African American Youth Harvest Foundation, simply because there are so many foundations out there, right? And once you see somebody such as Mr. Lofton and the others who participate in this, once you see them really living the vision, right, really trying to make it happen, and you realize that they're competing with so many other worthy organizations, that they need our support. They're us, right? We need to give back to people in our community who are making a difference. Well, the name of the book is On the Right Track, and it was written in response to people trying to tell my story, right? And that's the story that the world heard through the media. And so I wanted to take control of that story, and for people to really see that, yeah, certain poor choices had been made by myself, but this is why. But now, even moving forward, how do you move on once you fall so low, right? Do you just stay there in the depths of despair, or do you pull yourself up and try and rewrite everything about your future? And generally, that's what it's about. I certainly touch on certain topics of my Take a Break message, which is that when and before you make key decisions in your life, you really think about the consequences of your choices, and that makes it a lot easier, I think, to make a really positive choice. I cannot even possibly count how many people along my journey and in my life told me that I couldn't do certain things, that I couldn't say certain things, that I couldn't play a certain way, that I couldn't speak my mind, and that there are going to be people in their lives that tell them that they can't do certain things. And it sounds like a cliche, really, but it's certainly not. It's really to follow your dreams. If you can dream it and believe it, it can happen.